Hey, good morning. It's JannLee here. I'm going to play the weekly Crazyhouse Arena event. We don't have a bit chess event this week, but I'm going to keep producing some content for the channel. Before I get into the tournament, I just want to do a quick plug for a charity event that I'll be going into. So I'll be going into the city to surf this year. It's a 14-kilometre event. I'm going to walk it, and I'm looking to raise some funds for the charity that I'm supporting. So I'm supporting Lymphoma Australia. That's because I've had a colleague within the last month. She was diagnosed with cancer. So if you'd like to support, you can go to the link that I'll post below. You can click Give Now, and yeah, these are some of the people who've donated. So look, the event's about to begin. I'm going to start, but I'll be talking more on this as time goes on. Okay, so my first opponent is Rayan Tisop. People have suggested this should mean Rayan T is overpowered. I'm not sure if that's really what it stands for. This player is quite strong. I've not played too often, but I believe he's won the bit chess events once or twice. So he's he knows what he's doing in this game. Okay. So I want to pick off this piece. I think he might play d takes e6 to cover this pawn. So I picked up an early piece. Piece for a pawn, really. Yeah, I need to determine how I want to continue from here. Yeah, I'm going to give up this pawn here. I'm going to just make an attempt to castle to obtain some safety. In fact, I'll start by capturing the queen. So he could play pawn at d2. That's a reasonable move. I'm not too concerned about my king being attacked just yet. There may be some tricks with queen at d4 or queen at h4, but yeah, it's not game changing just yet. I'm going to put queen at h4 on just to capture this. But he has allowed queen takes b4, so I need to see if that's worthwhile. No, I'll just play the safe way. I'll take h3. The key bit is keeping these squares strong. Now threatening bishop takes e5, which would allow knight at f7. So now my only concern is really time. And so I've got a decent advantage in terms of material. I'm up a cold piece. My king is safer than his. So I just need to make up for the deficit I have on the clock. So I expect him not to start counter-attacking at some stage. So yeah, I'm going to hit this weakness as well as threatening to attack the bishop. If he wants to sacrifice on g2, I'm not concerned. I'll have plenty of cover here, plenty of cover here. So important to cover off this g2 threat and just maintain some pressure on e6, d5. So okay, let's grab here. So now we should have something decisive. Yeah, not really ideal. I thought it would be a bit cleaner than this. So he's got knight at h3 as a threat here, which would be a mate threat. But queen d8 will force him to expend some pieces. If he plays rook d8, then e d8 is going to be too strong. So after this, queen at f8 is the threat. It would be inaccurate to take the rook, or else I'd get mated with knight at h3. So okay, happy to get started. Yeah, what I was saying before is I've got a charity event. I'd love you to support if you can. I already have some support, so we've got some sponsors from Grodges. I mean, thank you so much. I have to make a special mention to Grodges. He's put in $100. So Bruce, another viewer from Sydney, and Master Tan, they've also been contributing. So the event's happening in August. There's about 50 of us from my company that are doing this. The target we have is 25,000 overall, so we've each got a target of 500 each, split between us. So if you can support, that would be much appreciated. Okay, so I'm against FediWeb 1738 now. Yeah, this position is not entirely familiar to me, but I'm satisfied in that I've got some pressure starting here, but no real weaknesses on my side. Now, bishop at h4 is not just a useful attacking move, it's also a good defensive move because it takes up the h4 square. So without that being there, knight at h4 is sometimes a possibility. So yeah, I'm just going to choose to back off here and defend e5. I was looking at knight takes g6, but I think that helps black defend. Alright, now I'll get a bit aggressive. So I will allow him to capture e5, but I figure that making a weakness on g7 is more significant. And so black has to be careful here. If he takes here, knight at h5 is very dangerous, because I already have a pawn in hand. And one of his knights will be under attack as well. So here it moves like knight at f6 and knight at h6 are now threats. So that's mate there. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make sure I post this this link at the bottom of my stream, just so that people have that accessible to them. Okay, John Stuckey. So John Stuckey's a name I'm familiar with on Fix. I believe he's probably about 2300 there. He's a solid player. And he can be quite quick at the finish as well. So I'm already thinking about the clock here, thinking that I need to manage that carefully. Alright. So here I'd love to try to start some kind of attack going with Queen D1 or H3, but I can't see a clean path to opening up just yet. What I will do, I will put the pawn on first. Now, after King G2, I don't have any follow-up with Knight F4. My plan is actually Rook D1 and Queen at E4. Now my knight covers here, so I've got all the key squares at the back covered so that he can't play his queen on. I'll take a pawn here. My idea is that I've got his king in a little bit of an unsafe position. I've sacrificed the pawn, but I have things to hit. So let's drop the queen back to G6 so I can preserve that with check. And then, yeah, here I think knight G5 is appropriate. And what I'm planning to do is make a trade of this bishop and then threaten bishop at E4. I need to play bishop E7 to give a bit more coverage here. And the immediate threat's bishop H3, of course. So I am a pawn down, but it's about trying to remain dynamic and making every move count while he's still got his king here. Keep some practical play on the board. Okay, pawn at D6. So I'm not getting as much as I'd like out of bishop at E4. I'm running short of time. I'm going to be very practical here and make some big sacrifices. So I'm expecting him to come in with knight at E7. And I've lost a ton of material, but I have a lot of play. Here I have a lot of play. Here I've got another knight in hand. That's going to be dangerous. So big sack. I'm basically saying you can't make my king with check. If he's able to get safe, then I'll be in big trouble. So here's where I do get to play accurately. So I think bishop at H3 is most accurate. I need to stop the king from going to E2. Right, so that's the first step. Then knight at G1 to cover off E2. And this will be mate. But he should have played rook G1. I think maybe white's better after rook G1. I'm scraping the barrel a little bit there to find a maiden resource. But yeah, I think white may have been winning after rook takes G1 instead. So probably too ambitious with my attack there. I don't know if that sacrifice on E7 and F8 and giving up the queen was really sound. It's just practical with short time. Okay, so some comments in the channel, some good luck wishes. Isaac Levi, he says, awesome series against Chicken Crossroad, John. Some really nice games. Tactics, thank you. Yeah, I thought both of us played really well in that series. If you haven't seen the series yet, Combo Cage 4, Chicken Crossroad vs JannLee. Certainly recommend you check it out. Okay, we've got Flourish here. So I believe that's E-Dog Bomb. I think that's his YouTube account. So Flourish is a supporter. He's put forward a donation to the channel, so thank you to Flourish for that. Okay, look who's joined party. We've got 12T as well. Math Ace, there's a few strong players coming in. So yeah, e4, e5 position, but this is a little bit new to me. What am I thinking? I'm trying to prevent f2 from becoming a major weakness. Now, if he wants to sack on f2, I'm not concerned about that being a weakness on g3. In fact, it helps the rook and queen gather. So here the immediate concern is b5. I've kind of trapped my own knight. So okay, fairly even, fairly balanced position here. Knight 9, the player has an extreme weakness. b4 is just claiming a little bit more space and also giving the knight a place to retreat to. So this knight can be redirected through here at a later time. So because there's no weaknesses on either side, it's a bit more slow and strategic here. He's hitting this pawn here, I need to be aware of that. At this stage I'm going to allow it. So if he captures twice, I'll play bishop at g2, and if he wants to play queen g4, I'll have knight e3 to attack the queen and give some defense to g2. So yeah, if anything, it's just the clock I need to be wary of now, because Berserk and I've spent a lot of time in the opening. So I do need to pick up the pace. So I am looking at potentially giving up a pawn with something like knight f5 to get some activity. After takes bishop at e4, and then there'll be quite a few diagonals that are hitting on the king side. But he's going to hit me first. So now I've got to see if there's anything else. Bishop at f5 that could be useful. Just going to lead to pawn at g4. Yeah, I think I just prefer keeping a safe king there. And then looking at getting the queen to back off and come in with knight f5. So yeah, queen h5 might be a good move here. Yeah, I like that move. So now pawn at h3 is a threat. But we'll go knight f5 because it hits this bishop. So he's defended that. So I need to look for something dynamic here. I think maybe I need to get the queen to back off so it's not hitting h3. Okay, so running short on time now. I really got to put my head down. Now if the queen backs off to h7, I can play bishop takes f7 and pawn at g6. So in making some moves here, I'm just trying to prevent my king from being attacked, while also keeping something dynamic in the position. Okay, he's not allowing that. Just decided he's going to go for safety. I'm short on time now, so I need to try to get into the king quickly while I have a queen. I don't have many pieces supporting. So immediate threat is rook takes f6. Yeah, I'll take this one. So queen at h7 doesn't work just yet. I'm just making sure I remove a defender. Perhaps knight at h5 is better. So yeah, I need to be careful here. Because knight h3 is now a bit dangerous. Knight at f2 I'm going to sack and capture the e6 pawn, and then try to continue attacking that way. But I don't have a clean path of checks to his king. I have to try to figure that out. Alright, so I have mate now, so I have pawn at c7 and knight at b6. Oh no, that doesn't mate, he's got a bishop here. So that's a problem for me. Good thing to realise that. Yeah, so I've got to be creative here with my checks, because he's finding a way to get safe. If he takes this way, I'll take the f2 bishop. He's gone that way, so I feel like I'm going to be short on pieces here. Whoa, what happened there? I don't know, it looked unusual. I think a move was played and that was strange. Maybe my queen got captured on d8 and yeah, that was just a bit unusual. It looked like a move went missing at the end sequence there. Alright, a couple more queries. So Rondep has asked, hey, are there no more cash tourneys? I think BitChess may have gone on holidays. I understand he was maybe going to do a bike tour of some sort, and he said I think he was planning to set up some tourneys to be scheduled before he left, but maybe he ran out of time, or maybe had a change of heart. He's been a great supporter for the game, but look, the way I am about this, look, it's not been about the money for me personally. I think it's brought a lot of interest to the game. I've been donating my prizes, so given that I saw there's no tournament on, but there's a weekly Crazyhouse event, and this is the regular time spot for viewers, I thought I'm still going to play, I'm still going to support the game. That's what I'm here for. So the quality of opposition may be a little bit different, but I'm still going to play. So I think it will still produce interesting games to provide commentary on. And Mustard Boy 314 said, "Can you post a link to the charity in the chat or in the description?" Yeah, I've just posted that on a live stream. So thanks for asking. Appreciate if you can support. I'm really overwhelmed by you know the viewers. I've not met any of you before, and to have someone from the other side of the world put forward a donation, whether that be to the channel or towards this charity event, really speaks volumes for your appreciation of this channel, and also the kindness of your heart to help out someone on the other side of the world. Okay, I'm leaving this c7 pawn hanging. There's still a bishop at a5 trick, even though it's not checked. It's still threatening the queen. The other opportunity is bishop at b6, which is threatening here. But I do need to get this bishop mobile. So now I think c6 really is hanging. c7 is really hanging. So maybe I'll cover it first. So yeah, the key of king h8 first is just to avoid a knight at e7 fork. That's important because when I play d6, I'm blocking off the bishop. So that's a little point on why king h8 is played. He's playing knight at e7 anyway. I've got a mind just to tuck the queen away either at h5 or bring it out to h7 or h5. I'll choose to keep it active on h5. I've got a bishop supporting g4. And if he plays h3 and then g4, sorry, h3 and g4, I still have queen takes h3 available. So yeah, there's a little bit of activity in the position here to navigate through. Ideas on the queen side might be a6, b5, b4, because I already have a lot of support on this dark square. So it's a classic situation of one pawn roll versus another. Okay, so I've got an open b file now. He's played there. I'm just going to prevent his roll from coming in. Now there's a bishop here. Yeah, I'm wondering if I've got anything with bishop c4. No, I'm going to leave it. So okay, a little bit concerned about time here. And a little bit concerned that I need to make an attack happen fairly soon. Right. So okay, we'll go for it. Wasn't expecting to capture that way. So I've got plenty of pieces in hand, so I want to make some ground on the king. Now that's leaving a fork here. I was expecting b takes c3, and then I was going to play bishop at a1, threaten pawn at b2. This being captured, I'm going to see if I can find mate now. So key here being a knight c4 check at some stage. And then I think queen at b2, king d3, bishop at e2 is the efficient mate. Okay, I'll read a few more comments. So Siddharth Patel says, could you make it a rule not berserk against, say, players rated over 2500? It's always unfortunate when you lose against such strong players just because you started with half their time, especially at the beginning of the tournament when berserking isn't so necessary. At the very least, you have a much higher chance of continuing your multiplier. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a set rule really. I can berserk against any player if necessary, if it's required, just to get some more points. In this case, I won't. This is 12 team, so I'll just check what it says. But before we get underway, yeah, you'll see he's written a note: cheesy bread from Fix. So this is a very strong player from Fix. He's probably been one of the toughest competitors in the last decade in terms of Crazyhouse. So it's great to see him come to the site and play. Okay, so here I'm trying to pick up a piece of this side. He's ignoring it. and well, maybe he expected me to capture the knight there. And I expect him to be practical on the king side at some stage. So alright, let's just develop naturally. Get the king off the file. And maybe he'll hit with pawn g4, yeah. That's natural. So he's given up a piece, but seeking some initiative on the king side. So I've got to be careful here. Knight takes g4 looks nice, but my king opens up very quickly. He's got a couple knights to capture then, and then things like knight at h4 and knight at f3 become dangerous. So what I'll do here, I'll capture this pawn first. Now there's a lot of trades that can occur here. I'm going to make you, this bishop's just out of the way doing nothing. I'm going to bring this back here as some defense on the king side. So I can't take this knight because my rook would be under attack. And there's other tricks like knight f2. So, you know, he's got a lot of initiative here. Got to be careful. Okay, I'm going to cover this c3 pawn. I'm expecting bishop c3 and knight f2. So I think he's arming himself with as much material as he can for knight f2. Now against knight f2, it may be worthwhile even not recapturing with the king, because that helps him attack. It may be better just to back off and then replace f2 with another piece. I think I'm going to do just that. I'm going to capture on d5 because he doesn't have knight at h3 or knight at f3 as mate threats, so I'm not forced to capture this knight. So we're getting to some really sharp critical moves here. And I want to be able to try to start attacking his king as soon as possible without losing buckets of material. And he's going to be thinking exactly the opposite, that he's got to try to maintain some attack with the pieces he has before I can build momentum. So, knight at g4. So it's both defensive and aggressive. It's potentially threatening knight d3. There's a pawn at g3 piece. So I need to have an accurate move here. So I think that's bishop at g3. I just need to give some more support here. And it's coming to a stage where if he say played pawn at h4, I might consider just taking this now. And I'll play a game where I'm going to say, well, you sacrificed a lot of material, can you really checkmate my king? Okay, that's an interesting looking move. So I'm going to capture this to relieve pressure off f2 and h2. Yeah, perhaps he has pawn at h2 and knight at f1. I've got to be careful of that. So it's a question if bishop takes h3 is a better capture. But okay, spending a lot of time here. Bishop at c6 is also dangerous. Or if I should counterattack altogether. take this first. I'm expecting something like pawn h2, knight at f1. And then I might take here, and then he'll produce a queen. I'll have some defense here. So this is really sharp stuff. I'm basically trying to prove I can get safe. So I'm expecting g1 queen. Just going to capture this and try to hold the position with my king on h3. So I'm expecting maybe bishop at c6. That looks like a good move here. Now if I lose knights, I'm going to be in trouble. Yeah, I think he's breaking through here. Problem is, after bishop f1, he's got queen at h1, and then there's a rook at h4 trick. I'll cover it with the knight. You can play rook at h4, and then bring the queen in here and sack it. Oh, I didn't expect that. A very short time now. It's actually just about time. You know? I was more concerned about a different move. Rook at h4, a queen sack, and then queen takes h2. Maybe knight at g6. Here I feel like I got an opportunity to get safe. Maybe even counter-attack. Alright, so he's going for the flag, I think. So I've got to try to get an attack on the king quickly. Okay. Clock's low on time. Oh, knight at g6 was mating. Missed that. Oh, come on. Get there. Ah, queen at h8. Mouse slipped. Had one move to go. I was nearly sure he wouldn't take the rook on h7. Because I had bishop g6 and queen h7. So I thought he'd deviate at the last minute. That's a well-played game by him, and he's been practical at the end. He's taken it on time. But I felt that he had a better continuation maybe with rook at h4 to actually try to win the position. There was a nice trick with knight at g6, and it looked like that also opened up a queen takes e5 move. It's okay, against Rayan I'm going to berserk here. So a little bit of mouse technique, I'll tell you, which is probably what I should have done, is if you've got two really close mates and only 1 second left to place, so it's like a mate in 1 versus a mate in 2, what I probably should have done is actually held my queen in hand somewhere close to the G squares, and if you decide that queen at h8 is not the mate unless you can throw the queen off the board and keep your mouse close to that area, that actually would have made all the difference in this game. So this is a line I've played a few times against Opel Wesen, and we've come up with some really interesting original positions. Excuse me. I'm happy to capture this knight here. Yeah, why not? We'll play the check. If he plays bishop d7, I'll play queen b3 and hit the pawns. So okay, I've basically got a piece for a pawn here with relative safety. I'll be greedy, I think. Maybe bishop b4 is trapping my queen. That would be quite nice. So bishop b4 check, planning bishop b5, queen b7, bishop c6. Well, that's even simpler. So okay, I should try to get 2 pieces in return for that queen. Yeah. Before taking this, I'm concerned d4 just opens things up. I'm going to try to get him on the defensive a little bit on his king side. And bishop f8 is probably a decent move here. He's got queen e5. Okay, I've overlooked that. Yeah, I'll just defend this way then. So yeah, not really thrilled with the outcome of this knight at h5 idea. I think it's just hung myself a piece. Yeah, so I think black's better here. Now I need to make up the time deficit as well. Maybe f3 or f5. Put on f3. So okay, pawn at e5's coming. Yeah, I don't want to play knight f5 straight away because then queen f6 also hits b2. So I'm going to wait until he plays pawn at e5 and play knight f5. He then plays queen f6, I play knight h5. And then that indirectly defends the knight on f5 because of this knight g7 fork on the king and the queen. So okay, from here I just need to play quickly and practically. Still plenty of play in the position. Well, he's going to ignore the queen. Okay. This is interesting. Oh, okay, he's letting me come in. I don't see it just yet. If I've got a win here. Okay, I've got a nasty pawn at e7 trick if he takes my queen. It'll lead to mate. So takes pawn at e7, he has to go king c8, pawn at d7, king b8, d8 queen, capture, capture, block on c8, knight at d7. So he's in some He's got some big threats to handle here. There's also a discovered check. Okay. So I'll have mate on the back rank now. So yeah, a little bit of good practical play at the end. To Siddharth Patel's comment on not berserking players over 2500, I mean, if there's any reason why I'd prefer not to berserk against players on 2500, it's actually maybe to offer some better commentary to the viewers. Yeah, I mean, 2.5 minutes is a lot of time for me. I mean, most of my experience playing this game has been either 1 minute or 3 minute time limits. So I'm not too uncomfortable playing with this time disadvantage. It's more about time for commentary to let the audience know what I'm thinking. Okay, so some early material sacks and a check on the king, but the way my opponent Conadios has proceeded also allows this fork, and now he's actually losing a bit too much material. It's really playing compensation. Apologies for my cough, by the way. It just seems to have come back recently. So yeah, I've picked up an extra knight and a piece. So now I'll be looking to try to convert this game as quick as possible. So I'm just going to continue taking all the pieces. Yeah, let's just block off any pressure on the F file. Okay, so a couple of comments. Atrophied, so he's Crazy H on YouTube, and he said, yeah, there was a previous game where something went strange in the position. He said, yeah, he played rook at b8, but it was a phantom rook. Okay, I've put a new knight here because my opponent has bishop at c4, and so I want to be able to recapture this knight. Otherwise, he'd be able to start breaking free and capture this pawn after I recapture here. So it's important to place the new knight there. And now this is a real thorn in the side for black. Okay, here's Danny Walker. So, if given the chance, would you rather play Crazyhouse or beat up a Kiwi? So what he really means by that, so for a lot of people that may not make sense, a Kiwi is our nickname in Australia for a New Zealander. So that's someone from New Zealand. So New Zealand is just across the water from Australia, and there's a little bit of a ongoing rivalry, which is largely friendly between Australia and New Zealand. And so he's saying he's just making a cheeky comment, saying if I'd rather beat up someone from New Zealand. Personally, I'm not too fussed on the rivalry with New Zealand, so it's a long way, Crazyhouse. That's my literal answer to the question. My cheeky answer to the question is, thanks, Danny. Appreciate your comment again during my stream. Keep it coming. I think it's all pretty funny. Okay, so we've got a battle for the leaders here. Let's say Pawan MSS says, can't decide if I should play the tournament to get a chance to play against you or to enjoy your stream. And Crazy H then says, I'm trying to do both. So yeah, I may as well announce it. So I've had a match against Chicken Crossroad just recently. That was successful. We're actually going to plan a rematch. So next week I'll be taking Chicken Crossroad again. That'll take place starting from around 10:30 p.m. Sydney time on Thursday. So if you'd like to come join for that. The other match that's planned is actually against Atrophied. So we played a dual stream match quite some time ago. You may know of his channel as well. He's got a Crazyhouse channel with a lot of good material on it. Definitely recommend you check that out if you're starting to learn the game. And we're going to be playing at 10:30 p.m. Sydney time on the Friday night. So I'll put up these as scheduled streams on my channel so that you can see what time they're going to start. But there are a couple of events on the way, and I assume that for Atrophied it may actually be a dual stream event. So you'll be able to look at his, look at mine, and see the same. See both boards, not both boards, but hear thoughts from both players. We won't be able to hear each other, but you will. So that's a little bit interesting. So Flourish, his E-Dog Bomb, he said, during my game I heard, now there's a mate here, and I immediately gave up hope. Okay. So, a little bit on the position, my opponent's starting to come down this way. I'll never play Bishop G4 to exploit this pin. If I play Bishop F3 and he captures, then the rook is hanging. If he captures with the queen instead, then knight at C2 is there, and I can grab this rook and start making some moves behind enemy lines, and then the queen on F3 will also be open to start hitting against. So that's what I'm thinking here. So yeah, there's a few options on how to proceed here. You can take the rook, and then I'm wondering if I really have enough in the position. Or you can play something like knight D4. I'll take the rook. And I'm going to play rook at B2, which forces bishop at C2. He can't play knight at C2 because then I'll play rook takes C2, king takes, and knight at D4 will win the queen. So I'm expecting bishop at C2. And then maybe something like bishop at G5. I've got to think how I can keep the attack rolling. So unfortunately he's played knight takes C2, which he shouldn't have, because that now loses the queen. And my king's still relatively safe, so it's not the end of the world either. I mean, he's still got some defense on C3, pieces covering near his king if he decides to move to B2. But it is giving black something to play for here. Okay, so oh, he's going straight for my king. So the idea here is if the queen moves, he's got rook at H7 and knight E7 mate. So I need to see if he's left mate hanging at the back. So I'm gonna play the check. I can actually just leave this queen here for the time being, because I'm not going to get mated with check. So I want to remove this bishop because that's defending his king, and make use of this knight that would have otherwise been taken. So yeah, it's queen at C2 maybe. It's not quite mating just yet. He can play rook at B2, but then I'll get queen takes A4. If he blocks with the knight, Then, yeah, it looked dangerous with bishop at b3, bishop takes c4. So, that's the best way here. I'll remove this. Now, because he has no rook, I can safely move my queen. He's ignoring it. He shouldn't be, because this makes him in two. So that was an interesting game. I found a bit of initiative and had to keep pushing. Okay, my stream chat's just turned into a regular chat room now. So I'll scroll down and try to find some questions. So Siddharth Patel says, Jan, what are your thoughts on the English opening in Crazyhouse? I haven't seen any strong players play it so far. Is it unsound in your opinion? No, I don't think it's unsound. I think it's not popular, only because it opens up a weakness on c2. So for those who don't know, the English opening it starts with move 1, c4. And the same goes for the Sicilian. It's not as popular in this game as it is in chess, because there's a weakness on c7. But having said that, if you know how to keep that weakness under control, it should be playable. I think it's just that it's not popular. Okay, I'll focus on the game a little bit more for now. So here I need to keep some coverage on d5, or else my position will crumble. I was nearly going to play bishop e7. Okay, here I've got to be wary of things like knight takes e4. No, I'll allow it. If he does take and play pawn at d6, I'll play bishop h4 and castle. Let's go on this way though. So he's picking up a few pawns here. I think that's a decent play. Yeah, okay, let's be decisive here. I play knight at b4. So it takes the queen and the pawn, forcing this to go that way. And then I'm going to play knight c5. And if he takes my knight, then knight d3 is going to be a discovered check, which will also win the queen. So he's put it on c4 to keep defending c2. I think that's a good idea. Now I want to be able to keep hitting something. So I'm going to play here and play pawn at d3. Because I feel if I take a passive line here, I'm going to start moving backwards. So, queen or knight, what should I take with? I'll take with the queen. So I'd get a queen trade with check. Meanwhile at the back, the dark squares are covered where knights can penetrate. There's plenty on the d7 square. So it's pretty safe back at home. So I've lost 3 pawns for a piece, and I think if black's not active, those pawns will come in handy for white to gradually push black off the board. That's a longer term consideration. So what I'm trying to do here is be active with what I have. But yeah, I mean, he can capture the queen and play king d2. That's not too unreasonable. Maybe I'll play knight f2 there. I'd like to try to keep his king less safe than mine. and then play a practical game. So you can take on f4 or take on f2. I think I'll take on f2. And still I have each of the penetration squares covered. And another thing you want to look out for is not putting your knight on a piece where the queen could fork it on queen at b5 or queen at a4. Since it's on a black square, it's not getting attacked. I chose f2 just because it hits the rook and it undermines another defender on a square next to a king. So yeah, I'm happy just to capture the rook here. You could play some checks. In fact, maybe knight e4 was mating. Okay. So queen at d4 just covers off a lot of squares. Now queen f2. So if the king runs up, rook at d4 will mate. Okay. Alex Cornelia says, you need a better webcam. Jan, great commentary, but quality is potato. Yeah, well, I've just got a basic webcam, but you know, this is a channel that's provided for free, so take it as it is. No, it's a bit cheeky. Yeah, we'll see. The webcam's good enough to show my face. I didn't have a webcam at all before, so that's a new investment. And I actually purchased the webcam because I got the first donation to the channel. That was a way of celebrating that and returning something to the channel. So I'd say my donations to date have nearly replaced the cost to buy that webcam. But I mean, before this, I made a significant investment into the actual computer hardware. I'm playing from Australia where it's not great, so the processing power of the computer actually helps out. Yeah, it's yeah, I forked out a considerable amount of money on the actual hardware. Mind you, it wasn't actually with streaming in mind originally. It was just to upgrade since my last computer, which is about 8 years old. So I've now got something that's quite powerful, high end, a little bit over the top. So for those that like knowing computer specs, it's an i7. Gosh, don't even remember the number now, but it runs at 4.0 gigahertz at base speed. It's got, geez, what are its RAM specs? What is it? 2133 megahertz RAM. There's 32 gig of it. What else? Graphics card with 4 gig. Yeah, it's got a 700 watt PSU, so it's a pretty solid machine. So I'm pretty happy with it. It never chugs when I'm streaming. It just, I can't make this thing chug. But yeah, let's. I wanna make some. I want to attack his light squares here because play queen at b5 and try to trade the queen off at the same time. So let's really get aggressive. So I want to put a knight on, but this pawn's blocking the knight, so I want to play knight at e5. That's critical. And now his king should be in the wide open. So against this, if I'm going to play queen at d4, if he blocks, there's bishop at c5. If he goes back, of queen d7 as a mate threat after bishop at g5. Okay, so I've hit the lead. So still holding one loss, where I lost on time to 12-10. Played a very good match. E-Dog Bomb says, Jan, does your wife know how good you are at Crazyhouse? What does she think about this whole streaming thing? No, I think she knows, but it's not really her interest. So, yeah, not too big a deal for my wife. Just the same way that she buys a whole lot of cosmetics and shoes, and I know she buys a whole lot of cosmetics and shoes, but I'm not actively participating in it either. So, yeah, it's just different hobbies, right? That's fair enough. Okay, so very common E4, E5 line here. So this is a position I am quite familiar with. I've played this a number of times. I think it still um, has opportunities for both sides, but it can get quite sharp quite quickly. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna put this pawn here. So yeah, I'll play pawn at f4 first. Something to notice here is there's a pin already going on here. So in playing these two moves, I get to place my pawns in useful places, and then also attempt to push white's bishop back. So it's a little bit of the subtlety in the game. It's not all direct stuff on the king. The fact that you can place pieces on the board has other values as well. Yeah, Jeroen Vandenberg, he's suggesting, yeah, a new mouse for sure as well. The mouse isn't too bad. I think it's more my fault that I lost one on time. It's not the mouse. I didn't use proper technique in finishing the game. Okay, we'll take this one. We'll play knight at g5 to defend the bishop if he captures it. Vishal Balyan has asked, what's your FIDE, Jan? E-Dog Bombs answered it for me. He says his FIDE is about 2300. Yeah, I haven't played competitive chess for many years. I think it was around 2250 when I stopped playing. But that would have been, yeah, 10 years ago, probably. So I'm probably significantly worse, given I've pretty much specialised in Crazyhouse since, just as a hobby on the side. Yeah, if my child wants to get into it, then I might go back into chess, but otherwise I can't justify the time. You need a lot of time to play chess. So, okay, is there anything I need to look out for here? I'm just looking to see if there's anything crazy with knight at f6, but I don't think so. So I'm capturing the pawn here for two reasons. One, I want to play pawn at g6 to kick away the queen, because some dangerous things can brew in the future if you leave too much hanging around the king. And secondly, it's if he captures, I'll get knight takes d4 to follow up with, which will then aid my attack here and give me another pawn to attack with on g2. So that's why I've given up the bishop there. Now, if white had another rook in hand, he'd actually be able to take this pawn. And after capture, you'd have knight f6 check, which is a double check. And then I'd have to play king h8, and then you'd have rook at g8. Oh, it doesn't even work because my knight's here. Forget that. I'm just seeing things that don't really matter. He'd need 2 rooks to make me actually. He'd need another rook to sacrifice on h7. So I'm a long way safe. I think it's trivial which way I move the king, because I've got this knight defending h7 anyway. Vishal asked, oh, but he's not FM. No, I'm not FM. I never made a title in chess. Okay, a lot of different comments going there. It's just regular chat stuff, I think. Okay, I'll take g2. Yeah, this will mate now. I've got knight f3 and pawn at g2 will follow. There's a question from Siddharth Patel saying, Jan, would you ever consider writing a book about Crazyhouse strategy? It would increase the popularity of the game by a lot. Yeah, I'm a bit funny. I'm actually not much of a book reader myself, and I felt making a channel like this probably helps to some extent. It's live play, it's video, it's interactive, you can ask questions, and I'm probably more about teaching some principles rather than opening or key tactics. So, personally, I'm actually what they call an interactive learner. Some like to learn through interaction, some like to learn through visual, some like to learn through audio. But I think this is a mix of all. It's visual, audio, it's interactive. So, yeah, this channel's a little bit like my free book to the community. And I hope to throw a little bit of my personality into it as well, just to make it interesting. Okay, so we're up against Chess Hater again. We've got an e4, e5 start and a couple of early knight trades. So, what am I thinking here? Well, as white, I'm expecting him to move the bishop back, but as white, I'll have pretty much the first move. So, he's just going to copy me here. Yeah, I'll back my bishop off. He can back his off, it'll be fairly symmetrical. So yeah, I get the first move. So I want to play something in his side. I want to place a knight at g5 or knight at h5, start hitting some of his squares. And I figure because I get in first, I'll have a slight advantage, but it's nothing decisive just yet. It's a balanced position. It can quickly turn though. If he doesn't defend accurately, there can be queen h5 threats that come in. So that actually is the immediate threat at the moment because it attacks. It's a mate threat on h7, and there'll also be 3 pieces attacking f7. So even if it was my move here, I play queen h5, he plays knight at f6, then I play bishop f7, after king h8, knight at g6 mates. If rook f7, yeah, there's a nice mate with knight at h6. That's a bit deep. So yeah, I'm not sure knight at f4 is accurate there because I get to capture and play this queen h5 move anyway. Now if knight at f6, then bishop f7 will be mating. Okay, but he's got a knight at f3, knight at h3 trick. So this is something I've missed. Yeah, do I have something better? Yeah, so I think I got to admit I've missed something here. Mm, Just seeing if I have anything tricky with knight at h6. Takes, check, check. Hmm. Yeah, okay. Um, no, I'm not finding what I'm looking for really. So I think I've got to admit that I'm the one that's missed something here. This is a nice move, Queen G5. Knight F3, Knight H3. Okay, I'll take it. I'll be on the back foot. So I think he should play probably Knight at H3 first, just because that would leave a pawn here. And then I'm now thinking if I should actually capture it or not. Yeah, too many pieces behind ours. Alright, I'm down on time. I'm in big trouble here. Um, so, yeah, it's not pleasant defending this, I'll tell you that. Big trouble. Yeah, so black has a winning position here, I think. Just need to keep piling pressure on G2. What I'm going to try to do is not leave a diagonal on G2 so that I can stop the flow of attacking pieces hitting it. But even then, there's some good ways for black to finish here. And also, he can also capture on G2 and play F3. So there's no shortage of pawns. Okay, he's taken now. So I need to put something near his king. It's rather futile. He can just play bishop G1. That's a comfortable win. There's no actual direct mate threat on his king because he's forced me to use my knights to block. There is actually a nice force mate here already. There's knight at G3, H takes G3, queen at H2, king takes H2, bishop takes G3, king H1, and knight at F2. And he's just seen it, I think. I don't know, he's gone a different way. And you still take H2 and bishop G3, king H1, knight at F2 is mate. But now knight at E7 is a possibility, so you'd better be careful. Oh, yeah, he's letting the cat out of the bag a little bit. It's not over yet. So he should give up the queen. Yeah, yeah, I should not have won that game. There was force mate in there. Even without force mate, he could take us the materials. So I think it was a little bit silly to give up a knight and then not follow through with the mate. That was unfortunate for my opponent. But yeah, just goes to show, man, you do need to make some sharp finishes here. You played very well in the opening. You had knight at f4, and I kind of moved too quickly. I didn't see a nice tactic he had. So yeah, you played a really good game up until towards the end. Corey506 has made a comment. That's the fun of Crazyhouse. Everybody is expanding on a new frontier of chess knowledge, not knowing if what's played is good. I can't agree more with that statement. That's a great statement, Corey506. And that is exactly why I'm keen on this game. And I actually stopped playing chess because I felt that a lot of chess was getting discovered. There's still a lot that's undiscovered in chess, but I mean, there's a significant amount of theory, and you know, with computers coming into it as well, it has changed the game. So I'm going to take a pawn over here. He can play pawn at e4. Gives him something back. But yeah, I mean that's why I'm not like a huge fan of studying the opening or talking too much about it. Just because you know that's one of the beauties of this game. Is that no one knows what's right at the moment. We've got to use our intuition. We've got to use our abilities. I think that's fantastic. And you know, maybe there is some opening knowledge in this, but it's not a huge amount. Okay, Siddharth Patel says, John, would you consider playing Crazyhouse with other popular chess YouTubers like John Bartholomew, King Crusher, etc.? You'd beat them with your eyes closed, but it would raise awareness about Crazyhouse. Yeah, I've not actually considered approaching some of the bigger mainstream chess channels. I wouldn't mind setting that up, but I actually don't know any of them really, so I'm also not sure how they'd respond. Yeah, maybe that's an idea. Thanks for that suggestion. There's a number of suggestions to things that could be done with this channel. That's another one I can add to the list. But at the moment, I've got a few different things happening, like the combo cage, the game of the week, mental martial arts. That's a fast time limit. Possibly not as popular, but still interesting for some of the channel viewers. So yeah, I don't have a whole heap of time with work and family, but I'm trying to work on different projects bit by bit. Mustard Boys suggested playing Chess Bra. Um, yeah, Chess Bra is the name I've heard. Um, I've watched a couple videos, some impressive stuff. Yeah, wow, like he can move fast, Chess Bra, and he plays a good game too. So yeah, I don't know if he would have interest in playing Crazyhouse either. So it's not as easy as just having the idea. Okay, so fairly balanced position here. I'm making some focus on the light squares, trying to make something happen there. And now I'm looking at Queen D2 and if I can make anything on that. So yeah, you could play something tricky like Knight H3 if he takes Queen D2, takes and then take there, but White could also just play king h1, and then my knight on h3 looks silly doing nothing. So let's have a think here. I'm just going to keep playing sensibly without making any sacrifices or rash moves. Just about every piece that's active hitting light squares. So you can see the knights are all hitting light squares. So I'm just going to keep putting in pressure on light squares. White only has this attacking square, so I feel like black has an advantage here with so much pressure. And so now queen takes d2 is actually a viable move, because knight at f3 works. So I just need to be careful if I get mated at home if I try something. Well, I'll go bishop at f3 instead rather than taking the knight. Oh, I've got mate here now. So that's an example of just building pressure on one coloured square and progressing. Okay, Chester Geek says, about hobbies of your wife and you, there is a difference. She buys cosmetics for your enjoyment, but you play Crazyhouse for your own enjoyment. No, I don't think that's true. I think my wife's beautiful as she is without cosmetics. I mean, after she buys cosmetics, it just means it takes longer to get out of the house to go anywhere, because a process that used to take 10 minutes now takes closer to 60 minutes, if you're lucky. And I'm not really spending money doing this. I'm spending a bit of time, but she spends time and money. Anyway, I love her for what she is. That's fine. But yeah, it is just a different hobby. I'm not on the market to make some interest in cosmetics, and she's not in the market to make interest in Crazyhouse. But we both know what we're up to. I think as a young lad, there's a misconception that girls are putting on all the cosmetics just to attract a guy. It's not always about that. Sometimes they're, it brings confidence to a female to, be able to look good. It's not all about trying to attract the opposite sex. So for those of you out there who think that's what it's about, it's not all for you blokes. They're actually, they're doing it for themselves. And you kind of go, well, isn't the function to look good? But no, sometimes they want to look good for their own female friends, or they want to look good for, a social occasion where there's lots of eyes on them. So, yeah, I don't think it's fair saying that she's putting on cosmetics just for me. It's also a confidence thing. That's probably about the most time during a stream that's ever been spent on cosmetics. So I'm gonna close that topic now. I'm up against Isaac Lee here, so I believe that's Isaac Levi in the channel. So he's a regular viewer. I think he's just pre-moved a little bit too early here, and he's lost a pawn on e5. So he's lost two big central pawns, so he's at a significant disadvantage already. So from here, I'm just looking to consolidate this center. That can be done in a number of ways. I don't want f2 to fall. I'm going to play knight at d3, just because that covers both squares that this knight's attacking. So just because you have a material advantage doesn't mean you have to feel like you've got to go and push your opponent off the board straight away. In some cases, it's actually even better to do it slowly, because you can sometimes give material back and it's not actually in your favour. So in this case, I'm actually going to take the slow approach. So my opponent has two pieces near my king, but not much else in support. So if I can limit the trades, it's going to be hard for black to justify all these pieces being here. Um, so yeah, so he's looking for some more trades here. So I'm just going to block off this potential trade. And the bishop's also defending the knight here. So I expect the bishop will need to go back. Then you could do something like e6 to block off the bishop. That's an idea. But I may even play something like pawn at g3 just to kick his knight back. So Rip can really take it slow here, and at the end of it I'm still going to be 2 pawns up, and that'll be a residual advantage that I can slowly move in on. So that's a strategy I'll take going forward in this game. E-Dog Bomb, so that's Flourish, who I've played. He says, listening to the stream as I play is the most intimidating thing ever. It should it be. Should be able to take some advice while you play. Maybe I'll let the viewers know, where there's a mate, and you can take advantage of that. It seems unusual that you'd feel it's the other way around. Okay, so my opponent wants to try to stay active, and I'm just going to block that one off as well. So I could easily take this, and then I'd say g4's hanging, but rather than get into that, I'm just going to completely block off everything and say, well, you've now got 3 pieces under attack. If he wants to try sacks like knight g2, knight h2, I'll just take them, but he still won't have many pieces in hand. And the only thing he can take right now are pawns. So yeah. I'm going to take with the bishop, because that's going to offer some defense. Pawn at f3. So I'll capture this way. And if there is some queen h4 move at the end, then the bishop's already covering h2. So, yeah, you can take with the knight, take with the bishop. Capture with the knight. So now I've got to be careful of knight at h3 and pawn at g2. That's a potential mate threat. So I need to make sure either I don't lose a knight or I give some coverage to these light squares before he captures one. So he's put the pawn on g2 first. So at this stage I'm actually going to keep capturing. I don't mind if he takes this rook. I can play bishop f1, I can play queen f1. But I do want to be able to put a bishop on h3 so I can defend against this mate threat if he tries to capture or not. And there was a bishop there preventing me doing that. So I'm making sure I get there in time. I'm going to take with the bishop just because the queen is offering some defense to f3. So if he wants to take the knight, it's not too dangerous. And so now I'm safe enough, it's time to get attacking. So there's plenty of defense on the light squares. Yeah, so now it's my turn to make use of that material. And you can see that black actually ended up volunteering material trying to stay active just by me rolling up and into a ball and preventing trades. And so at the right time you choose to strike. Okay, Danny Walker, he says it's also sort of cheating, E-Dog. I'm not concerned if people are watching my stream and playing at the same time. I think there's like a 20-second lag anyway between what I'm actually saying and what comes out. La Vieja Visilio, so I'm not familiar with this player. Maybe we've played once or twice, but yeah, not entirely familiar with this player. And E-Dog Bombs actually pointed out the stream's delayed enough to not really matter, about 20 seconds. Yeah, I guess if you can hang out for 20 seconds in a critical position, maybe it's worthwhile. But oh look, it's all in good fun anyway, right? So even the events with the cash involved, you know, I'm looking at putting in a good stream. Comes a point in life where winning or losing doesn't seem to matter as much. Okay, so putting a bit of pressure here. Another natural move is making use of this open line. There's nothing critical in this. That's just good development. So pass on the king. So look, fairly balanced position here. I'll have a look at some more comments. I just keep falling behind them. Alright, I'm going to put a bishop on g5 just to balance up, because I've really got a lot on the light squares at the moment. And bishop at e4 was also a possibility. Okay, there's not really huge activity going on here. So I'll play. Yeah, do I want to play e5? Yeah, I don't mind e5. I might play bishop e7, which could be interesting, and then there'll be some knight d5 to follow up. So pawn d6. Yeah, it's going to create something unpleasant here. I'm going to block off this diagonal. I'm not comfortable with it. And I'm going to take with the bishop rather than the queen, because I'm expecting him to play knight d5. So I don't want my queen to be in the firing line. And from here, I want to start attacking, because there's pieces that have come off. If he plays knight d5, I want to play pawn at h3. Even here, yeah, look, let's just go for it. I'm going to allow him to take that queen. Knight d5, is that this? Am I being too ambitious? Yeah, I'll allow it. So okay, so we've really changed the dynamic in the position from a material game really to, is my attack faster than yours kind of situation. Alright, he's allowing me to put some checks in. I'm just going to take the knight first, then I'm going to support knight at h3. The rook's also going to be useful at some stage. So yeah, let's place this here. And because he has no direct checking attacks on my king, I'm going to play pawn at f3, which is a bit nasty. Either the king or the queen will need to take, or else he'll be mated with bishop at g2. And then I'll either have bishop at g4 or bishop at e4 picking off the queen. So sometimes you can get in with all checks, sometimes you need to try to win material as you go, but here I'm already feeling quite good about black's position, because the black king is just so much safer and there's some mate threats. So I'm going to keep mounting pressure on f3 rather than taking it straight away. I should have a nice mating trick with knight at f4. So I'll give up 2 knights, but I'll have pawn at h3. I've missed something. He can run out to e2, which is an idea. Yeah, I'll attack this one first. Yeah, spending too much time now. So okay, let's I think I've blown this. I thought I had a mate when it wasn't there. So time's now a problem for me. Okay. Oh, bishop at d3 was moving, I think. Yeah, need to finish these accurately. In case he starts to throw a few checks, I'll just pre-move h takes g6. Oh dear, that's not the right way. No, I really blew it. He had queen g7 here, so very disappointed with how I finished this match. So yeah, you hang in there defending, but I really just I gave away the match and I spent too long where I probably shouldn't have. Can't win them all. That's alright. Okay. Still trying to catch up with chat. So Isaac Levi says, I think the intimidation outweighs the other factors. Danny Walker asks, is the rematch with Chicken going to be 3 or 1 minute? Chicken asks for a 3-minute rematch, so we're going to go with 3 minutes. And it also gives more opportunity for commentary. Okay. So Mass Ace, I think, has been one of the rising players. He's been doing quite well. Yeah, we'll mix it up a little bit. We'll play a sack here. I'll try to keep up with the comments. Scott McClellan, he says +1 for playing Chessbra, that would be cool. And he also said, I'd like to see a combo cage against Ganejas or All You Need Is Luft. So I did play a few games against All You Need Is Luft the other day. I've asked if he wants to get involved in a stream, but I didn't get a reply. Yeah, some of these guys are very talented, but yeah, playing against me doesn't seem to be their #1 priority. I'd like to see them play more often because they could really bring something to the game. Okay, Queen of Fate. I like that move. That's a good defensive move. I'm going to change tack here and play pawn d5. So rather than keep chasing the king to safety this way, I'm going to say, well, okay, that's a good move, Queen of Fate, but now it leaves c7 open. So I'm going to try to hit that square. So bishop's on offer. And the good idea about Queen of Fate is it really does give black this escape. Yeah, okay, I'll just put the knight on b5. I like where my queen's sitting because of this queen c7 move, so I'm just going to leave it there. So yeah, it could get quite sharp here. I mean, I'm in a position with white where I've got to justify the piece sack I've made. And so black's basically going to try to take pieces and defend and claim safety. That's the best thing to do. So you might play knight at e5 here. That's a decent move. But now I've got the knight hitting c7 as well. Okay, bishop b4. I don't want to play c3 because that leaves a cavity on c2. You can play knight at c2. But this is now leaving bishop at c4. Yeah, I think I should take with the queen. That's a bit more accurate. And then if knight takes e4, I've got queen f4. And then this knight's hanging, c7's hanging. So yeah, I think after bishop d2, you could play bishop at c4 if I recapture with the c1 bishop. And I think white's not getting enough on black's king, or even on c7 because the knight would disappear. So there's a bit of a tactical play here with the pieces to try to keep the material balanced. Chester Geek also says, among those streamers, Chess Network is the one with interest on Crazyhouse. He plays Crazyhouse a lot. He's also fun to watch. So yeah, maybe I should try to find a match with one of the other streamers. Okay, let's focus on this game a little bit. Not too much on my comments. I've got a minute 20 left. I've recovered material, which is great. And I've still got attack going. So now knight at g5 is coming in as well. Yeah, I'm gonna back. Well, I'll take g7 with the knight. I'm threatening bishop at e6. And you normally don't want to put a knight next to a king because it just helps black to defend. Yeah, he's got knight at d4, which is a little bit annoying. The idea is the knight can also come back to f5, and it'll be attacking e7, and then I can put a pawn on g7. I just didn't want to lose that knight cold. So I'm going to ignore the threat on my queen because I've got a threat on his queen. And if he trades off here, I'm okay with that, because the residual position will have more weakness on his king than on mine. Danny Walker says, I hope your wife can't hear you right now. And Danny Walker says, also, it's my birthday on Monday. If you want to sing happy birthday, that's cool. Well, on the note of whose birthday it is, it was my birthday yesterday. And no one's saying me happy birthday here on the channel. But yeah, it was my birthday yesterday. So if you want to acknowledge the birthday, I mean, the best way would actually be to donate to this charity event that I'm going in. It's called the City to Surf. We've already had 3 donators. There's been Grodges, who was really generous with $100, Bruce with 20, and Master Tam with 5. There's no donation too large or too small. I'm walking 14 kilometers, and it's for I mean, the cause I'm supporting is Lymphoma Australia, and that's because I have a colleague who's been diagnosed with cancer in the last month. So I'm walking 14 kilometers. If you make it $1 per kilometer, or otherwise it's 9 miles for those that use that measure. $1 per mile or $1 per kilometer. That's a place where you can start. So if you can support that'll be much appreciated. So Just having a look at some more comments. So Chester Geeky says, Jan, what do you suggest to someone who thinks winning is everything and losing destroys his or her psychology? That's a great question. I'll tell you, my motto is actually, if you're not losing, you're not learning. And that's a bitter pill for some people to swallow. But that's my saying. And yeah, I actually get a bit concerned when I'm winning too many games and not losing enough, because I'm wondering if I'm taking on the right players or if I should be changing something up. And the same applies in life. I mean, losing is a term we use, but there's a little bit of you learn the most when you have a feeling of discomfort trying something new, and over time that becomes more comfortable. That's how you know you're learning, I think. So if you're afraid of losing, I think you're probably limiting yourself a little bit. But that fear of losing is not uncommon either. So yeah, that's my response to that one. If you think winning is everything, yeah, I think a lot of the strong players here are just not afraid of losing, and that's why they've become strong players. So that's my advice. Siddharth Patel, Jan, what's the best chess joke that you know of? Geez, that's a hard one. I don't know of any good chess jokes. Yeah, uh, yeah, I've not really explored that. I can't answer that one, sorry. And Daniel FHD says, no other streamers are going to play Crazyhouse against you. You are too strong. And happy birthday to both of you. Vincent Lejeune also says, happy birthday. Sorry if I pronounced your name incorrectly. Maybe it's Lejeune. Just correct me. I think it's good to pronounce people's names correctly. Okay, so up against Isaac here. We've got a fairly balanced position. I hope you're not feeling too intimidated, Isaac, if you're listening, because I know you said that that's the biggest factor. I'm not going to falsely evaluate the position. Although maybe that's a bit of a cheeky joke. So, black's winning here, and white's clock's ticking, and if he doesn't move soon, well, he could be in trouble. He better move soon. Okay, I'm gonna take this knight, try to pick up an extra piece. White had better move soon, or else he's gonna lose on time. No, I should stop doing that. That's running the joke long enough. Okay, so yeah, this is interesting. White can play bishop f8, and I think it'd actually be a mistake for black to recapture straight away because of knight at g6 check. May not actually be mating straight away because of takes, and blocker on g8. But my preference would actually be to play knight at e2 first. White can't play king h1 because of knight at f2 and queen g1 mate. But what knight at e2 does is it forces the white king out so that this file is now able to be used by black. So I'm going to now take it because I get it with check, and that's really critical in this position. And in the meantime, I've got to see how I can find mate. So in fact, the knight on e2 now prevents a lot of mating nets. If he takes the rook, he's going to be mated because I'll have knight at g4, king e1. Well, actually, I've got to be careful. I could have missed something. I'm going to capture this and just go hard on the king. My idea is bishop at d2. If he takes d2, queen at c2, king e1, bishop at d2 mates. So he's going to have to take this bishop. And then I've got knight c3 or knight e3. I'm going to go knight c3, just remove the knight that's next to his king. As a principle, an enemy knight next to a king is usually a friend. It actually prevents other pieces from bringing checks in. And then I figure that I've got enough material in hand that there should be a mate somewhere in here. Okay, so we'll play knight at b2, knight at b4, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, hope I didn't win that game through intimidation, Isaac. I was just being a little bit cheeky there. Yeah, I think a key point in that game is that knight e2 and king f2 allows black to make a capture with a check. I think that was a critical move in that game. Okay, Daniel FHD says, if you're not losing, you're not winning. No, that's not what I said. I said if you're not losing, you're not learning. There's a big difference. Personally, I'm more satisfied with learning than winning, actually. Okay, we've got Johnny Chess here. So this is a gambit from white, and I think it's reasonable. I mean, I think if you accept the gambit, white gets active play. And so my preference is to give the pawn back, but get some activity of my own as black by just making sure I push both of these pawns up. And that way I'm not going to fall behind on development. And so in this case I've actually picked up an extra pawn. And I've still got a nice centre. White's played c3, which is blocking the c3 knight. So in a sense it's kind of avoided what the gambit's trying to achieve. So I'm just going to develop naturally here. Yeah, pawn at f4 is also something that's playable. Okay, check out the side. I'm going to block that. If I get hit with something like knight b5, I think then I'll play pawn at f4 to block the attack on c7. Okay, so I'll just develop naturally. And the reason why I'm not thrilled on pawn at f4 is white can just leave it anyway, and after capture, then his rook's getting active. So I can play pawn at f4 at a later time, but at the moment I'm just trying to develop, and then I want to keep white out of my quadrant here. Okay, I'm going to take this now because bishop at d3 is vulnerable. And so rather than taking the knight, I'm going to trap the queen instead. It's got nowhere to go. Can't take d5, can't go any of these squares, can't capture the pawn. And now queen at c2 is going to mate. So yeah, there's also other tricks with queen at a1. So yeah, Daniel FHD was saying he's losing 63% of his games, and that he might be the next JannLee. Well, yeah. There's nothing wrong with losing games, as long as you're learning something from them. Okay, so I played Chess Hater a couple of times. We've gone through this line on a few occasions. I think we're getting a balanced position out of it, so I don't mind playing it. And so the key bit here is I want to develop this bishop. I want to play d6, but I can't play it immediately because it blocks off this bishop and there's knight at e7. So that's why king h8 is played. Okay, Pawan MSS says, practice reviewing your losses with dispassion and no disgust towards your mistakes. Yeah, that's good. Renato Eckel, he says, I know one. He's talking about a chess joke here, so I'm going to read it out. He says, but it's dull. He says, you know what the most explosive square on the chessboard is? C4. Ho ho ho. Okay, so I've got castle position. Let's focus on the game here a little bit. So, I need to start making some inroads on the king. This pawn is now hanging. And h3 is now coming. So he's now making my bishop g4 move look a bit silly. Yeah, I think I'll bring the... no, the knight c7 is not such a bad move. You know what, I'll put a bishop on b6. And that'll attack f2. We'll defend c7. And if he decides he wants to take it, then the rook has an open line. If I sit still too long, white's going to just hit with h3, g4. And it's going to push black off the board. So I have to make something happen to threaten some material gain of some sort, because I'm not going to make a big impression on the king anytime soon. With the pieces in hand, that is. I don't think he should take this bishop, by the way. This knight's very valuable. It also allows knight at f4 if it's traded off. So okay, he's played knight at e3. Bring the bishop back now. I don't think it's serving a purpose there. I'm not keen on taking this and opening up the file. And you know, he was also threatening to take this after queen takes bishop at f5, queen moves. I'm getting hit with g4, only square would be queen h3, then g5 is doing a discovered attack on the queen, also opening up lines. So yeah, that's my reasoning for bringing the bishop back. I felt it was helping him more than helping me. Okay, so he just played a steady move. Okay, I think I will take this now to try to get knight at f4 in. And I'm concerned about the clock a little bit at this point. I still don't really have any weaknesses on white's king to hit. Bishop at f5 is something to be concerned about. I'm going to lose my queen to that if I can't respond to it. So okay, I'm going to take this knight. And then before he gets bishop at f5 in, I want to get practical. I'm going to sack a bit of material here, but trying to develop some initiative. And I've also got two knights hitting d5 now, so if he moves the queen to c3, I can get some tempo there. Otherwise, pawn at c2 is a possibility to get things moving. But yeah, I've just reached a point here where I feel like if I don't start getting dynamic on his king side, I'm going to end up behind. So less than a minute to go as well. I don't have anything clearly leading to mate, so I need to make something decisive in the position fairly quickly. So if queen b3, knight takes d5 is a bit of a trick as well, because it allows bishop at c2. Okay, in this case, I think I'll play pawn at c2 first. There's also a trick with bishop e3, where if he captures, I've got make a queen here, and then knight c2 will win the queen. And still, white's not yet been able to land a blow on my king side. So yeah, so I'm making some progress on white's king with a few tactics. So Siddharth Patel, he says, this is one of my favourite chess jokes. Two friends meet on the street one day. One of them says, my wife says if I play chess in the chess tournament tomorrow, she'll take the kids and leave me. Gosh, this could take a little while. Let me see. I think I'll be sharp here and I'll take the queen. I think that's the best continuation. Because I can do a queen sack and rook at c1. If the king comes up, yeah, then there'll be a mate somewhere else. Say a5, king a3, rook at a4. Okay, so let's continue Siddharth's joke. The other asks him, so what are you going to do? And the other answers, same as always, e4. Hang on, did I read all of the joke? No, I think I'm just being slow here, and I've lost my game on time. That's so funny. Yeah, no, just reading a joke and then not making the first move. Should probably do the first move first, then read it. I don't think I'm getting the joke, guys. Hang on, I've read it in two halves. No, I don't understand. I haven't benefited from losing the game because I've not got the joke either. Sorry about that, guys. All right. I think that was pretty funny though that I lost a joke I lost a game trying to understand a joke. Didn't get the joke, and anyway, it's all in good fun. And that was against Flourish as well, so that's unfortunate because he's actually one of the viewers in the stream, so it's actually quite entertaining that way. So yeah, I have a feeling the joke is just about, yeah, I'm that focused on chess. I don't care if my wife and kids leave me. I'm just going to be focused on the game. Clearly, I'm quite the opposite. I was quite focused on the joke, trying to understand it, and not focused on the game at all. Um, then again, you know, I'd be quite upset if my wife and kids left me. So, um, if you're a viewer of the channel, you probably know that's the number one priority for me. And sometimes the stream gets upset because I've got a sick child or something, and I leaves the event for that. Dog Bomb, he says, easy win, probably my best game yet. And Siddharth has confirmed that I've got the joke now. Thanks. So yeah, maybe a bit slower on interpreting chess jokes than chess moves. Alright, my heater's making the room quite warm. I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to turn it off. I'll be just back in a second. Myself a glass of water as well while I was at it. Sweet. You can hear me, so got myself a glass of water while I was at it. I'm feeling a little bit dry in the throat. Okay. So in this particular line, I choose to play a King H8 move just because there's some nasty knight at E7 type tricks. There's also some lines with knight takes E5. It's actually getting quite theoretical at that point. So yeah, so that's why I do that sack. Now my opponent sacked the piece right back. He's probably looking for some quick initiative here, and I think that's probably a reasonable play. But he does need to be careful. So there's knight at G6. There's also pawn at G6. And I'm looking at rook F3. Now, rook at F3 is good if he plays G takes H3. I think I'm fine there. But he can play queen takes F3, which is quite sharp, and that's not good for me. So I'm just going to defend this rook to give myself some light square coverage. Okay, and it finally looks like I've caught up on the chat a bit. Oh no, that's why my connection's gone. It looks like my stream cut out for a little bit. Okay, at this point in time, I am going to capture the knight here. Uh-oh, I can hear my child crying. We'll see how it goes. I may even have to stop the stream here. Hang on a sec, I'll come back. Sorry about that. My child is crying, so I better stop for a moment there. Okay. So, really sharp game. This is interesting. Yeah, what's going on here? So queen takes F3 is going to be dangerous because of knight at F7. And take rook H7, king across, takes, recapture. I think he's got too much activity on my king. I may need to play something like knight at G5. But even then, knight F7's not ideal. I wonder if I need to make the capture. So it takes, knight F7, rook H7, king G8, take, knight check. Has he got enough to mate me with? Yeah, I think he does. And now against this he should play knight at F7. I think that's the best move. Yeah, he plays it. Now I'm pretty close to busted, I think. Defending desperately here. Yeah, I think he had me on the ropes right at the end there. Probably just queen takes f5 is winning. I ended up having to go a bit quick, and I took the game on time. But that was a really sharp game. I liked the way White played. He played it really, really well. Um, just about every sharp move you could find, he played it. Um, okay, E-Dog Bomb says, what a family man, setting a good example for all us younger streamers. Okay, I'm going to berserk again. Daniel FHD says, Chess Whiz, on the other hand, lets the kid cry all the time. I didn't know that. No, my kid was just crying then. She woke up, and she's normally a little bit of a cranky bear when she wakes up in the morning. So she was sleeping in a different room, so I just made sure she got into Mum's arms. Okay. So standard e4, e5. I think I played this against Master Tan quite a bit, so it's familiar from my experience with him. I'm going to remove this knight here, and assume black's going to come back, and then also remove pressure. So with the queen sitting here, I've got a queen trap. Or I don't, because I thought I had a knight there. It's just seeing ghosts. So yeah, it'd be nice to have another pawn to put here, or to have a decisive sort of move. So yeah, I'm gonna take this pawn actually. I've got pawn at g4. I didn't see a way to proceed aggressively immediately, so I'm just relieving some pressure here and to make a little bit of progress on the king side. Sorry if the stream cut out there, it may have. Yeah, even something like queen of f. No, I'll defend this bishop. And the threat here is pawn f7, knight g5. Because if the king gets on to g7, I think he's getting a little bit safer. So there's a fine balance here between just attacking with all the checks, or seeing if you need to put the brakes on it a little bit just to preserve your initiative in the position. But I figure here he can't cover all these weaknesses all at once with one move, so regardless where he goes, I'll have somewhere to progress. And my king is also very safe, so there's no rush to really do everything with check. So that's a mistake I sometimes see in some intermediate players, that they chase the checks a little bit too hard, where they could have put the brakes on a bit and just held an advantage in the position. Oh, okay, looks like my opponent's left. Look, I think I have a significant advantage here already. I'm going to claim this victory. Not the way I want to win games, but I also don't want the channel to be sitting still, just waiting for an opponent to come back. Okay, so John Stuckey and Mathais are still in the chase. Isakli again. Okay, my advice to Isakli in this game is not to pre-move castles and lose a pawn on e5 too early, because that's what happened last time. And not to be intimidated, because he said there was an element of intimidation while watching the stream and playing at the same time. Okay, so standard e4, e5 stuff. Okay, so I've played this position plenty of times as both white and black. I think it's quite balanced, so it's basically black gets a bit of pressure here. White's got the knight on these squares. Oh, it's going for a bit of an early hit on f3. That's interesting. Yeah, I can take the bishop, but I'm gonna opt just to defend the knight. Actually, I'm gonna prevent weaknesses from occurring on the king's side. So there's a sack here. I'm not sure what he's planning. It better not be pawn at e3 because that can just be taken. Pawn f4. Okay, so he's just he's gonna build some pressure. That's the idea, I think. So I think queen e2 is appropriate. Or maybe not even. No, I'll play b5. I'd like to get rid of this knight here so I can play bishop at e7. Oh, I hear footsteps. Hey Bella! Hey, do you want to come over here? Alright. You're in a gummy. Hang on a second. So, okay, so he's using this king h8 idea that I've been talking about against me. Now, what do I want to do? There's going to be pawn at e3 coming in, so he's got some practical opportunities here. I think I want to remain aggressive. Now the issue here is I'm not going to have much initiative on his king, and he's gonna have some activity on mine. So I think he's going to get a decent position out of this. So what I'm looking at here is if I can take this, if he recaptures my bishop, and then I'll take the pawn, and then play pawn e7, and I'll be looking at taking this rook, and then maybe rook at h7 takes knight at g5. They're my attacking ideas. He's going to come in with, say, pawn at e3. Maybe I can play rook f1, and I need to try to keep his attack at bay and try to get my attack in first. Hey, Bella, do you want to sit here? You don't know the words? Okay, everyone here. This is Bella. So I'm going to try to play with Bella on my lap. Hold on a sec, sweet. Just don't put your hand on the cable. Okay. Alright, hang on, Bella. So, I think my opponents allow this rook at h7 move. Okay. Say hi. You gotta say hi. Say hi. Alright, knight at g5. So I've got a check going in here. I don't know if it leads to mate just yet. But it's the play I've got to make. So it could be a bit of a sharp finish here. Yes, Bella? How come I got a headset? Because I'm talking to the people. That's a really good move right there. That's causing me problems. Yep, hold on, Bell. Daddy's in trouble here. My opponent's made a really good move. King takes g5 wasn't as good because it allowed queen takes g4. This escapes the checks. So I think I'm on the ropes here. So knight at g3 is dangerous. Yeah, hold on, Bell. Daddy's trying to hold a very tight position together with 7 seconds left. Hold on, hold on. Yeah, so knight at g3, king h2, knight at f1, rook f1, knight takes. Allows me to have a knight here covering h2, a knight on h3 covering g1. So I think my opponent's just thinking through his options. Or maybe he's waiting for me to suggest where the checkmate is, but I don't see it yet myself. So he's not getting any help from me. But he's got a lot of time to think through this, so there's a lot. Yes, Bell. Yeah. You want to get out? Okay, you get out. I think knight at g3 is... It looks natural, but yeah. If he plays knight f1 straight away, I have to take with the knight to cover h2. Yes, Bell. You can't get out. Oh, hang on. Sorry, guys, you're hearing this dialogue between my daughter and I. Alright, Bell, hang on, give me a sec. I only got 6 seconds. I can't help you just right now. So black's got to be careful of queen g4 and bishop at g5. Yeah, it's really tight. Nah, I've missed that. Well played, Isaac. Well played. I wasn't looking this direction. Just give me a second. I've got to help my daughter with something. Hey, can I get out? There's too many things. How'd you get? Come on. Here we go. Hey guys, I'm back. Yeah, I like the game Isaac played there. That was a great game, mate. Well played. At the end, I think I probably should have played rook takes d1 instead of queen takes h5. That was then covering the h1 mate, and then I'd have bishop at g5 as a threat, but I missed rook at h1 in time trouble. Okay, I'm trying to catch up with channel now, so they've got a lot of comments. Hi Bella, Bella is adorable. All really nice comments. I'll say, wow, she's really cute. How old is Bella? Bella's 3 years old. She, yeah, she keeps us busy. Yes, Bella? You stuck again? She's trying to ride a scooter around the house. Yeah, she's getting stuck. Let's see, should I take the bishop or the queen? I'm going to take the bishop. Now, if the king goes to h2, I've still got bishop at f4 to pick up the queen. If the king goes to g1, there's knight f3. If the king goes to h1, then there's bishop at g2. And then I'll still pick up the queen. But what that'll do is it just relieves this pin, so this knight can get in on the activity. Bishop at f4 now, I'll play knight f3. pick up the queen cold. Okay, so that should lead to mate. So I'll either have queen at f4 or queen at g2. Yeah, Belle, come here. You stuck. Um, I'll just withdraw for a moment so that I don't lose a game while I'm not here. I'll come back. Hey guys, sorry about the distraction. Try to continue. We've got 27 minutes left. No, my daughter was claiming she was stuck. She was on her scooter and she had 2 feet on the scooter, no feet touching the ground. And she was puzzled why she wasn't moving, which is very cute. Okay, we've got John stuck in here. I'm going to grab this pawn because he's not defending it. Every pawn counts. And I'm going to back it to f4, I think. It seems to be the most useful square. So rather than trading and activating his bishop, I'm bringing this bishop back to where it may be useful to attack the king side if he decides to castle. Even if he doesn't castle, if he plays knight d5, I can capture it and play knight at h5, and this bishop in here is useful. So I feel like I'm up a pawn here, and I can start making some inroads on his dark squares. So yeah, I'll take that so I can maintain an open line here. I'd love to have a knight to put on here at this stage. So I don't have that, so we'll try to come in on the light squares instead. So here I'm basically comfortably up a pawn, and I want to try to keep progressing without necessarily giving away truckloads of material. So I'm going to permit a sacrifice here because I feel that it's valuable making some weakness on e6. And if I don't get e6, I'll get the knight, and then knight h6 is going to look dangerous. So here it's like basically you've got a good position, keep pushing, pushing, pushing. So if pawn at e6 takes, if he recaptures, then there's an elegant mate with knight at h6. You can't go back. There's a rook at g8. Okay, that's interesting. So if he runs out to g6, there's an elegant knight h4 mate where I'll get knights lined up. And then the bishop covers this knight, the queen covers this knight. And I have 3 knights on the side of the board which actually deliver mate. Okay, Twin SHK2 just said, can I move the microphone a bit closer just to adjust the sound? Okay, so we've seen this line a couple of times. Yes, Bella? You need help again? Can you come here, please? Yeah. Can you come here, please, Bella? Are you stuck again? How come you're stuck? Just hop off your scooter then. Oh, that's interesting. So, the idea of this is to have knight at f6. Yes, Bella. Okay. Oh, okay. Alright. Okay, this is interesting. It's very sharp here. I need to be careful how I trade with these queens. Yeah, I think I'll actually take f2 first. And that's just to have another, it's just to open his king at first. Now it's not a huge issue for him because after this queen g4 knight at f6 trick, he's going to recapture the queen and his knight will actually cover f2. Yeah, I'm now forcing his king to go to f1. And then I may have the option of taking his knight first if that helps me in some way. So I've got to decide here if I should keep the king safe or if I should capture it. A very sharp decision to make. I think I'm going to play it safe, step across. And having this pawn here allows queen at c1. So now, yeah, he doesn't have a direct mate threat on my king with check. So I need to try to take advantage of this. Yes, Bella. The other one just came off. Okay. We'll just leave it. Hang on, Bella. Not just yet. So what I've done is, with all those trades on c1 and a1, I've basically put his queen in the corner so it can't threaten my king, and I've left him with the rook. Now, because he's expended the rook here, he no longer has this rook at d1 option. I was threatening queen at e2. So now I either pick up the queen cold, and here I've got to be careful because there's some knight g6 tricks as well. I'm going to allow it. I'm going to step this way first. So this is very sharp. Now if he plays knight e7, take, king h7 safe. But he can play knight f6 or knight takes h6. There's some checks, but he'll end up with knight h5. I can play king g6 and he won't have enough. Rook f6, king h7 down going in. So I'm kind of nearly forced to play this capturing the queen and sustain a heavy barrage on the king. And I hope I've not missed something which puts me in trouble, because there's also an open line here. He's got a lot of time to find mate if it is there. Alright, I'll probably take a toilet break after this. If I can survive the check stone, there's too much on his king. So it's either he's going to mate me here or get mated. We'll see if I've missed anything. If he takes this pawn, I'm going to have to capture it. Yeah, he's got a lot of things that are really close to mate, but not quite. So what if there's a check takes, check takes? No, that's not fruitful. So mind you, if I play, if instead of playing king g8, king h7 is more dangerous because of knight takes f8, and then after capture. Okay, here we go. He's going to play this. Ah, bishop f7. That could be key. So then that would allow pawn at f5. No, but then I can still run the king back here. My rook covers g7. Yeah, this is very sharp stuff. He has to do everything with check because queen at e1's mating. But I think he's just missing out. Yeah, that was expected. And my king comes back to h8 and he runs out of checks. So yeah, I was scraping the barrel to make initiative on his king, and then he's been scraping the barrel for resources his side, but it's just come up short. That was a really interesting game. Sorry, a lot of disruptions today. I'm going to take a toilet break. I'll be back. Okay, we're back. It says video output low. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Such viewers will experience buffering. Alright, I've got a comment from Logically Compromised. It says, hello, good sir JannLee. Happy to see you kicking ass and taking names. Okay. Alright, we've got Boba Arena. Okay. Oh, Elfin Gambit. I'm not familiar with this one in Crazyhouse. So 2 moves in, and I'm already in an unfamiliar position. So I'm out of book, guys. I think that's really interesting. Okay, so I think it's quite different playing this in Crazyhouse versus chess because now White has so many extra pawns. Yes, Bella. You can build. Okay, so I'll pawn up here and I have relatively better king safety than my opponent does. So I'll just be looking to keep Black's king less safe than my own. And we've got some pressure on this e6 square. So if it's defended, I can opt to just develop the bishop and increase pressure. May or may not be a good idea. This bishop does cover g2, which prevents knight at h4 from being an annoyance. Maybe it is better just to capture the rook and put another pawn on f5. So yeah, comfortable position here, but not an absolute clear path to proceed. I think I'll develop this bishop, create another line here. That's going to be useful in the future. Okay. So now I feel it's time I can develop this bishop. And I like it now, because he's got this knight on e4, if he plays pawn here, I'll have a residual fork on the e4 knight. So I've preferred to wait till that knight got there and bishop c4 looked more attractive. Yes, Bill. Okay. Can you wait 10 minutes? Okay. So let's go on here. Yeah, I'm thinking whether I should take this way or this way. Yeah, I'm gonna take this way and play bishop h3. So my king's gonna be safe in future, and I can start. Yes, Bella. Yeah, do you want to come here for a little bit, Val? No. You want to make a dinosaur? Okay. So yeah, no matter where the king moves, I'll be able to grab this bishop with check. And then, yeah, I'll put this bishop here. You could put a bishop on e6, but sometimes it's worthwhile leaving that square available because it could be useful for the knight or it could be useful for the queen. So the idea is if the king moves back here, I've got rook at g8, and after king e7, queen e6 mates. But if I put the bishop on e6, I wouldn't have that square available. So That's a key point in making a bit of a tighter finish. That sometimes you leave a square near the enemy king vacant, so you can make use of it at a later point in time. So yeah, let's place the mate. Okay, Chess Hater again. So, played a number of games against him. Because we played so many E4, E5 games, I'm going to mix it up and play a perk setup, which is what I've been playing a little more often recently, just to give a bit of variety for the viewers. So just developing to some natural squares here. He's also done a fianchetto. I've not seen it before, so this is a new position to me again. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it. So what am I thinking here? I'm thinking I want to make something happen with f3 and d4, but I was also keen to avoid inroads on h6. So before really trading everything off the board, I'm quite glad to have this settled. And now I want to get some activity pretty quickly. I'm going to play knight at g5. Yeah, what happened? Can you pull it out? No, use your other hand, Bella. Use your other hand. Okay, I'll make a sacrifice here. And it's with nothing concrete in mind, really. I'm looking to trade off some pieces, get some activity. So it's a little bit loose, actually. Nothing concrete in hand. So now I'll hit here, but look, black's very solid here. It's just a game from here. We both have to play. I've sacrificed a piece for a pawn. We've got things to hit. So now if he plays knight at f4, I can hit with pawn at e5 and try to recover that material. If he plays h4, I'll probably just capture on f3 and then play something like pawn at g4. So he's gone this way. So yeah, no easy inroads here. So both sides very solid. But all he's got is knights in hand. So I can probably limit his inroads considerably. So here I'm looking at now the board saying, well, I can't blow his king up. I just don't have enough to really make progress quickly. So I'm going to have to make progress slowly by developing my pieces, but I want to prevent him from getting activity. So knight at d5 is a key inroad. I'm going to try to stop that one first. So I don't mind if he puts knights around his king. I can't stop that, but I need to stop him putting knights near my king. So okay, let's work out where we can play. We'll play queen e5. I'm gonna try to grab some of these loose pawns on this side. That's a good move. He's going to try to counter here. Yes, Bella. Hang on, Daddy's just playing a match. Yeah, Bella, Daddy's concentrating. You can't get out. Here. Okay. So I'm gonna just leave this rook to hang. Because I figure I can't get in on the white squares, so I need to try to get in on the dark squares. Alright, John Stuckey, he's close behind. So this may be the last game I get to play in the tournament. So I want to make it count. Okay, so we're bolstering up some defence here. Yeah, I think I've got to move. I've got to move faster. So he's left his fork on. So that material is going to be useful for me. I might have knight at d4. But yeah, here I better focus on the game and play. So if he captures my bishop, I might recapture with the f pawn so that my bishop has a life in the future. I don't mind if he captures because it then opens up this line to g3. So just keeping a bit of tension in a position. And then I'd love to have a bishop maybe on e5, which then threatens mate, and it's very hard to stop all of a sudden. So a bit of a patient waiting game here, trying to gradually make weaknesses. Sometimes you've got to gradually acquire material, keep the penetration on your own half limited. I'm going to sack now. Yes, Bella? You want a gummy? Gummies are lollies here, just for the viewers. Yes. One orange gummy. Okay. You just got to let me finish this one game, and then we can have lines. You've been very patient this morning. Do you want to say hi? Come up here. Do you want to say hi? Oh. Yeah, you can say hi. Daddy's nearly done. Hold on. Oi. Okay, let's. Yeah. I'm gonna cut paper. You want to do everything but sit still. Oh. So I've got to make sure I don't get mated at the back either. Shh, hold on, we're nearly done.
Is that me?
Yeah, that's you. You're on TV. So I'm not seeing the exact mate just yet. Yeah, that's me. So knight at g2 might finish here. That was a nice finish. Okay. And that closes the tournament. So yeah, happy to take that one down. Yeah, look, we've won the tournament. There's lots of colours. So thanks again for joining the stream. Hope it was interesting. Before I go, I need to give another plug for the charity event that I'm participating in. So I'm going to keep doing this over the next few weeks. On 14th August, I'll be walking a distance of 14 kilometres. Yeah, hang on, Belle. All right. Well, you bring the jar to me. I'll get it for you. So yes, I'll be walking 14 kilometres. It's to support Lymphoma Australia. You can come to my donation page here. I've already had some great support from channel users. So I'm pretty much mostly relying on support from people viewing the channel. So I'll put a link at the bottom of the recording. You just need to select Give Now. There's options to pay by credit card or PayPal. Please give generously. And if you can't give, I mean, you don't have to give. I mean, you can also spread the word to other people. get other people viewing the channel. Alright, and that's going to be it from me, so I've got a toddler. Alright, here it is, here it is. Here it is. Here you go. One gummy. There you go. No, you have just one. Alright, I'm going to close the stream there. So thanks for joining me. Have a good week. I'll produce another Game of the Week video in the near future. Alright, thanks for now. Bye.